Oh. Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Saucier, and I'm here with the wonderful Toni Barnes.
Wonderful.
Yes, you are wonderful. And we are going to be talking about some new seller tips. What we did is we went ahead and we were thinking of 5 kind of main issues. We ended up with 10 that we feel like most new sellers deal with. So this webinar might be kind of long, but we're hoping that it'll be really helpful for you and concise and all that. So
try not to make it too long and boring.
Yeah, no, it'll be some good stuff, especially if you're new. I mean, if you're, or I'd say 6 months to a year, like you've been figuring things out and you're working on stuff, but you might need some fuel to the fire to kind of jump over some hurdles. So that's kind of our goal here. Or if you're like brand spanking new, you've never even sold a thing on Amazon, this is a lot of stuff that you can expect to deal with.
Right. I think that a lot of the stuff will really speak to the person that's just thinking about starting or maybe just open an account. And really help you get started off the right way. And then if you've already started, you can go back and think, okay, yeah, I need to do this, or I need to change this way of thinking.
Right. Because it can be quite overwhelming. I mean, I've showed some of my friends what I do on a day-to-day basis, and they're like, I would never want to do what you do. and the only reason really is because there's just a lot of moving parts. It's not like, I mean, it is, I feel like, kind of your typical retail business, but then you add the Amazon element to it, which is this whole other ball of wax that we have to juggle. And so our goal with FBA Insiders is to help you save time and increase your profits. And so we're hoping that with this webinar, you'll be able to do both of those things.
Yeah, for sure. There's a huge learning curve.
Oh yeah.
Selling on Amazon. So hopefully this helps the new seller.
So we're going to dig into it. Like I said, my name is Paul. You see my last name is Saucier, not Saucier. Everybody says Saucier, and that is fine. And that's Toni and her husband, Sean. So we're going to share a little bit about our stories as we go throughout the webinar, and do a little intro. So
FBA Insiders, we are Amazon sellers. This is what we do full time. It's how we make our living. And me and my husband, Sean, we started selling on Amazon February of 2017, and we are full time. We have 4 kids at home, and this is how we support them. And we are retail arbitrage sellers, and we're experts. I like to think we're experts. I mean, we still make mistakes, and so we're recording this to help new sellers avoid some of the mistakes that we made. But we did this month $357,000 in retail arbitrage. We did some online ordering. If we found something in the store, we would jump online and order it. But most of it's retail arbitrage. So we are actually doing this and teaching what we're doing.
Yeah, and Toni is super humble. She's definitely an expert. Definition of an expert is a person who has a comprehensive and authoritative knowledge.
Or someone who's made all of the mistakes.
Hey, and that's, I think there's the 10,000 hour rule. If you've dumped in 10,000 hours, I'd see you're probably there at this point.
Probably.
And so, yeah, I mean, guys, not to toot Toni's horn, but like that screenshot is showing 357,000 in the last 30 days. So,
struggled with posting this here because when people do this, it's kind of like bragging, but I want to build credibility with, okay, yeah, we've done this, we know what we're talking about.
Right. And that's not like private label sales, that's not wholesale, or like that is like pretty much all retail arbitrage. So that is what's achievable if that is like your end goal. Like with all businesses, you have to kind of ask yourself, to what end do I want to grow this thing? Because the reality with Amazon is it just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing and growing until you say, okay, that's enough. And then you can kind of slow things down a little bit. But this is, you said 2017 you started?
Yes.
So 3 years in the making.
This is third Q4.
Yeah. So that's some incredible numbers. So kudos to you, Toni.
We worked really hard.
Yeah. That's not just Toni. She's not just at a store by herself.
No.
That's
why I put my husband on there, because he really is my business partner, and lots of other team members helping too. So.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So
awesome.
We wanted to talk about the 10 problems that we thought of that a lot of people struggle with. in no particular order, right?
Yeah,
So,
no particular order at all. So these are just going to be things that you will certainly encounter if you're going to be successful with retail arbitrage selling on Amazon. So the first thing that you're going to encounter is, man, I am not permitted to sell a lot of stuff on Amazon. The term for that is gating, or if you want to sell it, it's called being ungated. Imagine there's a gate, right? You got to open the gate up. So gating major brands, people kind of, I call them the big three: Under Armour, Nike, Adidas. Those are going to be brands that, like, they're going to take you some time to get ungated in. Some people get ungated in 6 months in those, some take a while, but not just those brands, regular everyday brands too, like Fisher Price, Lego. What's some other big ones that you can think of?
tons of toy brands, and
A
just
lot of toy
because of
brands.
the issues with counterfeiting.
Yeah.
So they've become restricted to new sellers. Mattel, Hasbro, Barbie, Play-Doh, Nerf,
Yeah.
all the big ones.
Yep. Yeah. So that's going to be something you're going to encounter. So we're going to jump into, do you want to jump to the next slide?
Really, we were kind of discussing how the gating is a symptom of a bigger problem. If you're in the store and you're struggling with, oh my goodness, everything is gated, I can't find anything to sell, you need to kind of shift your mindset to, there's such a tiny percentage of products that are actually restricted on Amazon. There's so many more things that you can sell. So if you're just stuck in toys or stuck in the name brand clothing thinking everything is gating, it's really a struggle with mindset at that point, because there are lots of other things that you can sell.
Yeah. And a lot of it comes down to kind of like taking your blinders off and thinking outside the box. When people ask me what I do, what kind of products I sell, the first statement is, hey, I sell on Amazon for my living. The next question is, what do you sell? And that really, when you're trying to figure out what to sell in the very beginning, and you walk into a retail store and there's a million different departments, and what do you look at? A lot of it can be tips and tricks that you can get. That's why we have our leads group that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But a lot of it is just breaking that mindset. Be data focused, not so much product focused. Don't go, oh, that widget looks cool, I think it will sell on Amazon, because Amazon produces all the data for us. And so you can break your mindset with the data once you understand how to read it, right, and being able to interpret it. So.
Right. And I think one of the biggest blocks is when you go into a store and you've already been to the store before and you spent 4 hours sourcing, it can be very discouraging to think, oh, I'm not going to find anything in here. Well, what you need to think is, there is stuff in here. This works. People do make money doing this. There's gold in here. I just have to find it. So change it from the negative to the positive, and change the mindset to, there are products here. I just have to find them.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Good stuff.
And when you don't find the products, when you had spent the time in the store, this is really the cost of learning. You're paying your tuition in your time, in the time that you spend in the store sourcing, scanning, title searching. That's just part of it. The learning is part of it. Yeah,
and as far as like tuition goes, I mean, one of the things that we talk a lot about, and that many people will struggle with, when you're starting any business, you're going to make mistakes. You can curb the amount of money and time that you spend on those mistakes through getting highly educated before going out and trying to figure it out. School of Hard Knocks. I mean, there is just a level, like in any business. To me, Amazon is just like, under what circumstances can you start a business with like $300?
Exactly.
And turn it into a full-time income? That's my story. Where most businesses, if it's a franchise, you're going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to get into something like that. So the tuition, you gotta put in the time. It's kind of like learning guitar. I don't know how to play guitar, but I hear if you want to learn how to play guitar, you don't play for 2 hours on a Sunday. You play for 20 minutes every day of the week, and you get a little bit better, a little bit better. So you just keep practicing.
So my Amazon tuition has a name. It's called microwaves. So I sourced some very large appliances, microwaves, that were a steal on Sears, but without knowing how to read keep a graph and knowing what I was doing in the beginning, we probably spent $2,000, I guess, on microwaves and learned a very expensive lesson on how to read keep a graphs.
Yeah.
So it
And
happened.
and part of the business too, and this might kind of scare people away, but I'd rather scare you away than lie to you. The part of this business is losing money. Like it is going to happen. Like you don't want it to happen. The whole point is to not make it. You want your wins to outweigh your losses.
Mm-hmm.
But it happens in my business, not all the time, but it happens. So there will be things that you're going to take a hit on, but you learn from those mistakes and you adapt. That's the whole point of running your business.
Yeah. And there's stuff you can't control.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot out of your control.
So title searching, this is going to be one of the biggest things I would say for a new seller. If you just go into the store and you're scanning barcode, and you're not finding anything, or what you are finding is restricted or no profit, my first question would be, are you barcode scanning? And likely the answer is yes. Mm-hmm. So title searching is going to be the key to finding listings that that aren't flooded with other sellers, with other competition, and no profit. So what title searching means is in your app, whatever app you're using, instead of scanning a barcode, actually type in some keywords like the name of the product, or the ounces if it's grocery, or the character if it's licensed, whatever, and try to find the listing that way.
Yeah, and less is more. Toni, do you title search in Scoutify or mostly in? You do?
Yeah.
So I typically title search in Seller Central in the app. Just because it doesn't limit the number of products returned, but they're both effective, right?
Yeah, your search results are going to be very different between seller. Seller's going to use a very strict searching method. It's not going to help you find misspellings of the product. You have to be very precise. Scoutify is going to help you more like the shopping app, like Amazon makes suggestions for shoppers to help them try to find the product. Scoutify works more like that, but it's limited to 10 results. So you kind of have to go back and forth between the two.
Yeah. So definitely use both. Don't they're both helpful in their own right. But yeah, that title searching tip. I mean, it's kind of like if you walk down an aisle, and this is going to be gated for a lot of people, but like Barbie or maybe like Mainstays products at Walmart or something like that. Instead of just scanning every single thing, you can type in, like, let's say you're looking at Mainstays towels. So you can type in Mainstays towels instead of scanning each little towel, and you can see what pops up.
Right. This exploded my business in the beginning. If you're just barcode scanning, it's very difficult. Title searching, you're doing more work than the average seller is willing to do.
Yeah.
So you're finding listings that have better return on investment, less competition. It takes more time, but this is the work that other sellers are not willing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though it takes a little bit more time, your risk of the item, the price tanking and that kind of stuff goes way down.
And if you're looking for someone to kind of show you, well, what are they talking about? How do you, like, what keywords do you type in when you're looking at a product? How do I title search something? If you're part of the RA, the Retail Arbitrage paid group, there are several videos in there where I've been in the store live sourcing, typing, telling you what I would type, actually finding really good profitable items, just live sourcing, showing you how I searched, showing you Keepa and all of that. So those videos are in the paid group.
Yep. And I'm going to throw some links into our Facebook group.
So you can find the group.
Yes. So y'all can find our website and all that fun stuff. I'm just going to throw them under here. So they are in the little, if you're on Facebook, it's where I mentioned about the link that y'all clicked on to join.
So some of the struggles that we've had with our paid group, it's not entirely newbie friendly. I mean, because we give leads to all types of sellers. There's going to be some Nike stuff, some Lego stuff, gated toys, but we do want to try to enhance the group to be more very beginner friendly. So we're going to try to throw in some beginner bonus leads where it's a bonus because it doesn't fit the criteria of our leads group. We promise 40% ROI and a $5 profit. So maybe I'll give a 200% ROI, but it's only going to be a $3 profit. I'm thinking I just want to go back to my beginning, seasonal grocery at Dollar Tree. So that's where I'm going to be digging for some bonus leads for the people that are really struggling with gating, with funding, with not being able to find stuff that has so much competition on it. So I'm really going to try to dig in and share some stuff that really helped me get started in the beginning.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Toni.
I was just saying we're going to call those beginner bonus leads in the paid retail arbitrage group.
Yeah. So what she's talking about, we have a retail arbitrage group. If you click that link, I posted it in the chat as well. But we have a group where we supply 200 leads a month. During Q4, we actually bumped that up to 300. We're going to be dropping that back down to our normal 200. But these bonus leads, one of the things that we really strive to do is to get feedback back, from our members. And one of the, kind of common things was I'm gated on a lot of stuff. And so our goal as deal posters is to supply things that everyone can sell, but especially that beginner that's getting started and learning stuff, and all that. So,
and also the training on how you can get ungated, because you don't want to be stuck there. That would be the mindset of, oh, I'm gated, I'm always going to be gated. Well, no, you just need to put in the effort, take the time, find the distributor, eedistribution.com and sheffer.com. I've got some detailed videos on how to get ungated in our retail arbitrage group. So.
And that's all in our paid group. So we really try to, couple with a lot of leads along with loads and loads of education on how you can do it for yourself. Mm-hmm. So we kind of take the approach of, we're going to give you fish, but we're also going to teach you how to fish as well. Mm-hmm. All right. So limited funds. This is, I totally identify with this. I started with $300. This was back in like 2015. And I was running a landscape company, and I didn't have to beg my wife, but just short of it, where I was like, can I please have $300 to start playing around with Amazon? And so I took that 300 and I turned it into 600. I took that 600 and turned it into 1200, 12 into 24, and so on and so forth. And I just kept doubling my money, to the point to where, I finally got to where I could, start taking a little bit of it out. But for about a year, with that amount of money starting out, I didn't draw a single dime. I also didn't quit my day job. So I was doing it part-time. I had income from other places. But, when you have limited funds, there's some, certain things that you really need to focus on. When I was doing that, my ROI was something that I really zoned in on. If you want to go to that next slide, Toni, or if you wanted to mention something.
Well, our story is a little different. We had a job where we would get lump sums of payment when the job was over. We would get, a check, and so we started with 14,000, but that was all we had. So the job ended. There was no more money, no more job, nothing coming in. We had to make it work, and so even for us, the ROI was super important because there were no more paychecks coming. Mm-hmm. So we made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. Whenever you watch YouTube videos or you read articles or whatever, they're all like, oh, 30, 40%, even in the leads group, 40% ROI is the minimum we're going to post. But if you are limited on funds, your ROI needs to be a lot higher. You need to be way more picky about 100% ROI plus is mm-hmm. where you need to be sourcing.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're in theory, if you got 100% ROI and you reinvest all of that, you're doubling your money every time that you buy. So you buy something for 10, sell it for 30, and you get $20 back, your cost plus your profit. And so you just keep rolling that back in, and you'll eventually build up.
Yeah. So it was a little scary when we were doing 30 and 40% ROI and our funds were just shrinking down as more money went into inventory and and less into our pocket. So when we switched from the 30 to 40% to 100% plus, it really helped.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really, especially as far as like outsourcing, if you're going to start paying other people to do stuff, if you drop your ROI just to spend more money to increase your team, it's going to come back and bite. You can ask me how I know that. I definitely experienced that. So, and then the turn rate, that's really vital. So when we talk about a turn rate, from the time that you buy it to the time that it sells, okay, so you spent money on a puzzle at Marshall's and you ship it in and it might take you 30 days to sell it. It might take 10, it might take 50, it might take 100. So it all depends on how fast you're turning that dollar over. So the more, this is common sense, but the more that you can turn that dollar over in a year, the more you're going to increase your revenue. And eventually, if your goal is to do this full time, which I think many people would love to do that, or to just make another $1,000 a month or whatever it is, like you have to slowly build that up.
Right. Your turn rate, you can find your number if you go into your IPI and you look at your days in inventory. That's sort of a rough estimate of your turn rate of how quickly your entire inventory will turn over.
Right. And so the IPI, which she's talking about, if you log into your Amazon Seller Central account, it's your inventory performance index. And so that gives you kind of like your score of your inventory, which is,
you need about, what is it, a month? Does it take a month or maybe a little longer for Amazon to give you that?
roughly, I think it's a couple months, possibly even, it depends on how much inventory you have and stuff. So, but yeah, you just want to keep on that turn rate, especially in the beginning when again, we're talking about limited funds. So high ROI, super low sales rank. Okay. Like when I say super low sales rank, I mean like top, and don't source this way, but I'm typically referring to like the top 0.5% of the category. So I would say toys and games, what rank would you want to stay under if you want a super fast turn rate under toys and games?
I'm glad you asked because I literally don't have an answer for you. Like I have no rank of, okay, if it's above 100,000, I'm not buying it because I live in Keepa. I live in the sales history of an item.
Yeah.
So if I see, competition going down, price going up, you just have to get experience, get practice looking at the Keepa data, testing things. The Keepa data determines for me how many I'm going to send in. And you really don't want to send in more than a month's worth unless it's like, a discontinued item or something you're never going to find again, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really great point. And we were just talking about this as well, about reinvesting and just turning all your dollars back into the business and, continuing to grow. And so again, guys, I started with 300. Toni had 14K to her whole family.
Yeah, no job.
No job. Like they had to make it work. And so sometimes when the heat is on, when the pressure's on, you figure it out, you make it work. When we're in our comfortable jobs and we have our 9 to 5 going and stuff, sometimes it's a little harder to get us, whatever our motivation is.
Please don't quit your job because I said that.
Yeah, don't quit your job. I've seen that go south too many times. Don't quit your job. Build it up. Build up the business. So,
but if you have to, if you're in that position, you can make it work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be encouraged. You can make it work. Reinvesting, store rewards. If you're shopping in a store that gives rewards, I'm thinking about Kohl's and Walgreens, you can take those rewards and use them to buy more inventory. So kind of reinvesting your rewards. It's a good tip for a new seller because you may not realize just how good store rewards can be.
Yeah, absolutely. And when she's talking about store rewards, big box stores that you've heard of all the time, you want to name your favorite reward store?
Oh, I just
I'm sorry. I was reading a comment.
It's okay. Kohl's and Walgreens.
I'm a bad student, man. I'm just not even listening.
You're doing your job. You're reading comments.
That's true. So yeah, Kohl's, that is definitely a favorite of many. Very cool. Yeah, store rewards can certainly help quite a bit. And really when it comes down to figuring things out, it's just some simple math, guys. You start with the end in mind, and you can plug into this best from the nest calculator. This is from
Robin Johnson.
Johnson.
I love our community. We have so many people that just love to help and provide free resources for other sellers. And I've learned so much from Robin. She's great. She offers this calculator, bestfromthenest.com/calc, CALC. And you can kind of plug in some numbers here and figure out, how much do I need to spend? So if you're averaging a 75% return on investment, that means your profits divided by your cost, you're getting a 75% return on investment, and you want to make $1,000, you put your profit goal in there. Now, if you're full-time, you need to put like all of your expenses, everything you need to keep your business running, and then you add in your profit on top of that. So you would put in, your profit goal, and then the gross sales and the Amazon fees, that automatically calculates after you put in these two, the 75 and the 1,000. These calculate for you, and it tells you how much you need to spend. So if these were your numbers, you would need to spend $1,333 a month on product. So you would just kind of reverse engineer that. You would work backwards to figure out, okay, on a weekly basis, how much do I need to spend?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not just spend, but ship too. That is a kicker. It's not helpful if it's just at your house.
Exactly.
We're going to talk about shipping here in a minute. But yeah, so your turn rate is vital, and I'm posting a few links here. Toni did recently a little post on the best from the nest calculator. So
yes, that can be found in the paid retail arbitrage group. You can find that. We posted the link. If you're a group member, you can use that link in the chat to find the post on the monthly spend goal. The thing that's not mentioned on here, we talked about turn rate. So if your inventory is turning every 60 days, your monthly spend goal, you need to double this because it's taking you 2 months to turn it, right?
Yeah. That is a really important thing. So you want to, that is like the missing link. If your turn rate's 45 days, 60 days, whatever it is, or if it's 15, I mean, you can, like, if you really like just focus in, like laser focus on the super fast turning items, you can have a pretty quick turn rate. So, all right. So tool knowledge, this can be probably one of the most overwhelming parts of Amazon. Once you dig into it and you start looking at, there's keyword tools and there's sales rank tools and there's apps and Chrome extensions. I mean, if you look at my Chrome extensions, I probably have a good 10 to 12 that I use on any given day. And so, and that it's building blocks, right? You don't start out with all of them just like slammed in your face. You're going to start out with one and then another. And so we're going to show you kind of like the bare essentials, right? Of like, this is what you should have when you're getting going with Amazon.
Right. So it's easy to get shiny object syndrome or overwhelm. It's easy to feel overwhelmed in the beginning with all the tools, but really, I think Keepa is got to be like number one aside from your seller app. I think there's three: the Amazon seller app, Keepa, and Inventory Lab, which comes with Scoutify, which is your app for sourcing, right?
Yeah. So if it's fairly difficult to go with only the Amazon seller app. That it's not that you can't do it, but it does take a lot more time. And so that's something that you have to value, is how much is your time worth. So in the beginning, as you're learning, you can huff it with just the seller app, and then you can pull up Keepa on your browser on your phone and copy paste ACE. It's a little complicated, but you can do it. Now, if you bought Inventory Lab, I think it starts at $49 a month. If you bought a year, it's $40 a month.
For new sellers, Inventory Lab is your inventory management. It's a third-party software, not affiliated with Amazon, but it helps you manage your Amazon inventory.
Yeah, and it's one of several. There's a few other tools out there that will track. ScanPower is another one. They will track your all your cost of goods. They'll give you all your data, all your reports, all your profit. They'll provide, like Inventory Lab and ScanPower both have processes for shipping into Amazon and all of that. So, but the app is really what we're digging into.
Yeah, and really, if we made this an Inventory Lab Scoutify webinar, it could be so long. So we're not really going to dig into how to use it. It's just that's one of the essential tools for a new seller.
Yeah.
And there's some other things that are less well known. The Seller Essentials velocity chart. Well, what's velocity? Velocity is how fast a thing will sell. And this is important to know, because if you're looking at a listing and you see a rank, or better example, you see 20 sellers on a listing and you're scared because that looks like a lot of competition. but the rank would support 20 sellers because the velocity is so high, right? So here's the chart to kind of give you a better idea. Let's say we're sourcing in baby or, whatever category, and the rank is 2,500, but there's 100 sellers. Would you skip it? I wouldn't, even if there were 100 sellers, because it's selling 500 a month. So I know I could send in 5.
Yeah.
So the 100 sellers scare me.
And this is a part of the whole, right? So like all of these different tools, like the sales velocity chart is really helpful just because it gives you kind of a baseline of like, okay, if I scan something or I find something and it's ranked 2,500 in baby, that's really good rank. Where if it's ranked 50,000 in baby, it's going to be a little bit slower moving. And this is really important because Amazon breaks everything up into categories. Just like a department store like Walmart, you have the baby department, you have the beauty department, you have the book department or whatever. And so each category has a certain number of products in them to where the rank of that product will have a different velocity. So, for example,
there's wild variation on this chart, just what you're talking about.
Say that again.
There's a wild variation on this chart. You've got.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like 2,500 in baby is much different from 11,000 or 2,500 in beauty and personal care. So if you find something ranked 2,500 in beauty and personal care, that thing's really flying out the door. It might be doing 1,000 units a month.
Right. So you can't really just set yourself, I'm not going to buy anything over this rank. You can't set a rule like that. I mean, you could, but you're losing out. Things are going to look better ranked when really they're not great ranked, and then you're going to miss things that are super ranked when you passed them because the rank looked too high.
Yeah, that's right. So we're going to be digging into Keepa here in just a moment. But that's really. Yep.
Chrome, is this a Chrome extension? No, it's actually just a link.
Yeah, so I posted the link there, and then it's also on our Facebook page. But you can like save this link to your phone, or you can even print it out if you want to. But I believe Seller Essentials updates this every, fairly often. I'm not sure how often, but they're grabbing kind of like the latest sales rank data.
Yeah.
And updating this.
If you're looking at this on your phone, you need to turn your phone to landscape view, because the portrait kind of cuts off. At least that's been my experience on every phone I've ever looked at it on. You got to turn your phone sideways so you can see the rest of the chart. Well, a newbie tip.
Yeah. But it's nice to have a little cheat sheet with you to kind of figure out, especially when you're faced with like, okay, how many of these should I buy? If you're faced with the opportunity to buy 50 of the same item, you don't want to just buy all 50, not really understanding how much the sales velocity supports.
Yes, exactly.
So,
and we talk about these things again in the retail arbitrage group with the live sourcing, actually talking about velocity and sales rank and how many we would buy while we're live sourcing.
Absolutely. It's always super helpful to see kind of like an over the shoulder view of what we're clicking on and how we're doing it and all that. In the store. So so the Keepa training, we do have some stuff in there. It's a little outdated, but we're always talking about Keepa. I mean, you'll hear if somebody's doing arbitrage and they're not talking about Keepa, you might not want to listen to them. Keepa is really like, and they just started charging for it. $15 a month or a year,
something like that. It's
super cheap. It's well worth it. Like if you're not going to buy anything but this, just make sure you buy Keepa. I mean, it's super helpful with the amount of data. And so what Toni mentioned earlier, when I said what sales rank do you stay below in toys, it's because, when she answered, well, I just look at the Keepa chart, because the Keepa chart is going to tell you all kinds of data points that you can compute in your head to say, yes, I do want to buy this, or no, I don't. And that's really where the expertise comes from. Like Toni really, and myself, we're Keepa chart experts. We call it retail arbitrage, but we're really, really just great at reading Keepa because we've lived in that chart for lots and lots of hours, lots of time.
Right. So if you struggle with that, if you have questions, feel free to post a graph in the free group, and we'd be more than happy to help you interpret it and tell you what we think.
Yep.
We're here to help. we don't have like an in-depth course other than the video, which you said it was outdated, but I mean, Keepa's Keepa, so I don't really
Yeah,
think.
they added a few things here recently. They keep updating it. Um, but yeah, so there's, I mean, for the most part, the principles are the same. You know,
Mm-hmm.
how to look at sales rank, how to look at the number of sellers,
Yeah.
all of that.
But if you want a more concise course, we highly recommend Stephen Smotherman's. All his stuff is great. And we have a link if you guys want to
It's
grab that.
coming in just a moment.
No worries.
Yeah, and that is a very very, what's the word?
In-depth. Yeah.
In depth. Yeah, there you go. Um, and this is an affiliate link, just to let y'all know. All right, so inventory that doesn't sell. That's just not fun to send in something and it doesn't sell. You've done all the research, you figured it out, it's profitable, all this kind of stuff, and you send it in and just something happens. It could be that the buy box gets suppressed. It could be that too many sellers came in. It could be that maybe there was a safety issue with it. What's some other reasons why it wouldn't sell? You misread the data.
Right.
That's probably the most common.
As a new seller, misreading data is likely to be the big culprit.
Yeah. Yeah. So you always want to make sure you read the data to the best of your ability, but there's still certain things just in general in life that are out of our control, especially with Amazon. So, but yeah, you want to make sure that you are controlling everything that you can, right? Which is understanding what you're looking at on that Keepa chart.
And it could be just part of the tuition that you pay. We mentioned that earlier.
Yep. I remember when I first started, I mentioned a puzzle from Marshall's earlier. I don't know why, but for some reason it popped up in my head. But I remember I was going to buy a puzzle, or like there's these other puzzles. They came up on Amazon. The listings look good, whatever. But there's no sales rank. And at that time, I didn't really understand sales rank and what all that meant.
Mm-hmm.
And so I called a buddy of mine and I was like, hey, should I buy this? He was like, well, normally with stuff that doesn't have a sales rank, I wouldn't get it, but you can try it and test it or whatever. So I bought it, and like I think I had, I don't know, 5 units, and I sent them in, and they sat. They sat. And they sat. And it was so painful to be like, fine, I'll remove them and get them out of Amazon.
Now, did you try anything else like adding, improving the listing or adding keywords or?
At that time, no, I didn't really understand all of that. So no, I didn't. But yeah, so I mean, there's just certain things that, like, you know, for retail arbitrage, one of my rules was, you know, unless there was like some other knowledge that I had about it, if there was no sales rank, I just didn't buy it. Or if there was no Keepa data, you know, I wouldn't buy it. So
right.
So yeah.
If an item has no sales rank or says rank unavailable, I always check the Keepa graph anyway, because a lot of the times when the title gets changed or someone adjusts something with the listing, it stops tracking. For whatever reason, the Keepa just stops. Mm-hmm. But it's still available for sale. It's still selling. You can see the number of sellers going up and down. And even if it has reviews, if there are stars and it has reviews, you know it has to have sold.
Yeah. So. Yeah, absolutely. That is, yeah, there's a lot of, and a lot of this stuff, it's going to come with experience. I mean, we could sit with 100 different products and review 100 different Keepa charts and have 100 different scenarios of how we would interpret the data. And, you know, and different sellers are going to interpret things differently. And, you know, there's not a 100% right or 100% wrong way. It's just what's best for your money being spent. So this is something new that we are coming out with. Professional batch review. Toni and I have spoken quite a bit about this. And so basically, if you're a new seller and you want some experienced eyes to look at what you're buying and sending in to give you some tips, we will do a batch review. And so when we say batch, we mean like 50 items, 100 items, something like that you're going to ship to Amazon. Do you want to add anything to that, Toni?
A batch is inventory lab, obviously. It is all of your stuff. You need to have all of your data, all of your, your buy cost and everything all ready to go for one of us to come in and look at your buy costs and look at the keepas and look at how many you bought and tell you, oh, did you think about this? Or, hey, this was really great. You need to go find more of those, buy all of this that you can, stuff like that. You just need good professional feedback, and you can rest assured that whatever is shared is confidential and will remain between you and the seller who's helping you.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is what I would have loved as a new seller. You could just look at what I'm doing. Am I making a mistake? I'm worried about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really, so the great thing about the batch review, let's say you buy 100 items and 20 of them are just like, don't do it. Like, do not send these in. They're not going to make it. But you can just take those back to the store and get your money back. Whereas if you were to ship them, then you're going to pay to ship them. Then you're going to pay for storage fees. And then you're going to let them just rack up storage fees because you're going to be so hard pressed to not remove them. And so it's much better to just take them back to the store than have to deal with everything else.
But sometimes that's the way you learn the best lessons sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, if the whole point of, or the whole premise of this business is you're going to make a mistake, you're going to learn from the mistake, and then you're going to adapt. Make the mistake, learn, adapt. And it's just wash, rinse, repeat. Just keep doing it over and over again.
Right. So if you're just interested in a batch review or help, just private message us and we can set you up with a call or meeting. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great. Problem number 5, limited time.
Yeah, we all have that, right? And this ties into our mindset. So you go into a store, you got an hour and you're scanning and you're looking and you're like, this sucks. And you don't find anything and you walk out and you're going, man, I've only got an hour to source or a few hours to source. It's going to take time to master a store. Walgreens, Walmart, Target, whatever. It's going to take you time.
So when we say master a store, does that mean just randomly grab things off different aisles and be like, oh, there's nothing here?
No. Yeah. It's gonna be, how do you find the money that's on the aisle or in that department? Where is it? Where are the clearance end caps? Talking to the managers. You're gonna, learn products that sell well. You're gonna learn when sales are gonna happen. Maybe, there's certain stores. This is what I love about relationships with these store managers is sometimes they'll let you in the back of the store before stuff gets put out. It all depends, but that all takes time. And so when you have limited time, there's certain things that you can do that will kind of like bump, kind of speed things up. So
I would say probably, would you start in the clearance if you had an hour to source in the store, start in the clearance?
Yeah, absolutely. Start in the clearance. And you'll, depending on what's going to be there, it depends on, like, if you're Walmart, right? Walmart clearance is going to be kind of like all throughout the store. Depending on what it is, like there's normally like a department clearance section in each Walmart. So
it's interesting that you suggest Walmart because every seller is doing Walmart clearance and you can get into some hot water pretty quickly because of the national clearance. Victoria graciously recorded the Walmart sourcing secrets in the paid group, and it's also available if you just want to purchase it separately. You just want that one, you can get that in our store. But she really drops some incredible information on how to get the best deals at Walmart. But any other store, any other smaller store, where the clearance is not national, I would think that's a good place to start.
Well, and even at Walmart, I mean, I've made a lot of money from Walmart clearance. You just have to be mindful, I guess. Yeah. So if you walk onto a clearance aisle and you see 500 of the same item clearanced, better bet some hot money that is probably throughout the whole country. It's just a product that went south. But if you are on the clearance aisle and you find like 2 of something and you can buy it for 10 and sell it for 50, that's probably a pretty good deal. Like, you want to be mindful. And really for me, what it comes down to is sales velocity, the keep a chart, the ROI. Even if it is national, just read the data, and be mindful. Just because you can buy 100 of them doesn't mean you should.
Right.
maybe buy two. So, but to Tony's point, she is accurate in that it is national, so you have to be careful.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but like Walgreens and other,
So we're talking about mastering a store. And when we say master, it means, to me, it means combing. And combing is very slow, methodical, start in one aisle, scan and title search and image capture, dig deep on every product that you can. It may take you a while, but once you find that thing, you just run to the next Walgreens and you grab it. You comb through the first store, and then when you walk into the next Walgreens or whatever, you're just running in and grabbing, spending $500 in 30 minutes. It doesn't take as long. So whenever you're in a store for the first time, change your mindset. Okay, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to put in the time now, and that makes my next shopping trip easier. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Did you mention going from store to store? How you
going for
can once you let's say there's a chain of stores in your area, you go into one and you find 10 things or 20 things that you're going to buy there, and then you just go to the next one instead of having to scan and source. You're just going to go and just going to grab them and go.
Grab them, yeah.
Grab them and go.
So you comb to the first one, and then the next, the rest of the stores in your town, you just grab and go.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And keeping a buy list. To comb a store and you're spending hours, did I already look at this product? Is this one that I bought? Is this the color I wanted? Did I buy this one? You're going to get overwhelmed and you're not going to be able to remember everything. So in Inventory Lab, use that buy list feature. And also in Seller, there's the favorites feature if you want to use that. What I'm saying is just keep track of what you need to go and grab. If you're taking pictures or you're writing it down or something, keep a running list of what you're grabbing.
Yeah, and not only will that help, problem 8, shipping. We'll talk about why that buy list is also helpful.
Yep.
There. So, yep, good stuff.
If you're on limited time, it would be helpful to have some leads given to you, stuff that you could go and grab, or we call it leads because it's actually supposed to lead you into a new store, into a new category, looking at new brands that you've never thought of, and you look around those items for other stuff that could be profitable.
Yeah, and we've heard from countless people that have been through our leads group mention how they were doing stuff and they were selling some items and they just needed a little bit of fuel to the fire to where they learned a new store, which learning a new store in retail arbitrage is really just it's opening up this whole new world depending on how many stores you have around you and all that. I mean, I know people that have made their livings off of one national chain. They didn't even go around to a bunch of other chains.
Yeah.
So, the leads group, we really we pound out tons and tons of leads to regional and national stores that will help you kind of take your business to the next level, whatever that is for you. So we're just going to kind of keep shamelessly plugging that leads group because we we really believe in it, and we know that it's helped a ton of people. So,
it's a great group.
Absolutely.
My business wouldn't be what it is without it.
Absolutely. So the buy box, if you do not know what the buy box is on Amazon, when you are shopping on Amazon, there's going to be a little button that says add to cart. And most people don't realize it. Most people that don't sell on Amazon, they just think that everything comes from Amazon.com. They don't realize that 50+% of the sales come from third-party sellers like us. So that buy box, that add to cart button, that is what you want to win that spot. And there's an algorithm for you to do that. Typically, here's the two biggest things. Be the lowest price and be FBA. That's 2. And then the third would be keep your seller metrics up, meaning keep control of your feedback and that kind of stuff. So that's really...
The lowest price thing can be kind of confusing, because that's how we start the race to the bottom where everybody is trying to be the lowest price.
Match the lowest price. Don't penny drop.
Yeah. You don't have to be the lowest price to get the buy box. And actually, I've been the seller on some stuff where Amazon was priced way below me, and I've taken the buy box from them. I don't know how it happens, but you don't have to be the lowest price seller to get the buy box.
Yeah. So, but you do. Toni really mastered. I don't know if you have a slide on this next about the Amazon. Yeah, Amazon's repricer. This is free. there's a lot of paid repricers out there that are going to range. I think the lowest cost I've ever seen was like 25 a month. But this is free. And a lot of people don't use it because it's, again, you got to put in the time to kind of figure it out. Toni did that. And so you want to,
just like any repricer, you got to figure it out. And I think Amazon gets a bad rap because there's so many people talking bad about it. Oh, Amazon's repricer is no good. It's junk. It doesn't reprice up. But it won't artificially raise your buy box price. Like there's some really cool tools that can, at a certain time of the day, maybe overnight, bump your price up 20% or to a maximum or whatever. Or it can, if you have the buy box, it can start raising your price up. Amazon is not as sophisticated as that, but it's cheap. I mean, it's free and it's simple and it works. We actually ran a 6-figure business using nothing but Amazon's repricer. So if you don't have a repricer and you don't have one because you can't afford it, you definitely need to look into Amazon's repricer, because as the buy box price changes, your price needs to change too. And these prices change even on one listing. It can change thousands of times a day.
Yeah.
So you cannot be on your computer looking at the buy box all the time and repricing into the buy box. A computer will do it faster, better, all the time. You're not going to be able to keep up. So I would encourage you, if you don't have a repricer or you can't afford one, look into Amazon's free repricer.
So Toni, how did you learn Amazon's repricer? What did you do? Did you just,
there's some YouTube videos and stuff out there, but just playing with it. Anytime you play with a repricer, do a few listings. Don't do your whole inventory, because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. Just do, 5 SKUs or whatever, and figure out where you want to set your prices. And Inventory Lab will transfer your min and maxes. So the way we do it, we list an item, we set our min and max, and it automatically transfers it over to seller, to Amazon, and we just click start repricing. So it's very simple. We make decisions per item as we go, as we list. We don't have a blanket rule. That's what I don't like about the paid repricers, because you have to set up these blanket rules, and I like to make the decisions individually per item. So
that's good stuff.
That's what works for us.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, if we go back to the screenshot from earlier, it's obviously working. So Toni hit those numbers with a free repricer, and really what it comes down to.
Let me correct you. Last year was Amazon's. We did 110 in December of last year. This year we did try out another repricer, but I don't like it as well. We're in the process of switching back. Okay. So.
Gotcha. So so she tried a paid one and then is going back to the free one. I think they're just kind of, and again, it's every Amazon seller. If we had 10 other Amazon sellers up here doing the same thing as us, we're all going to have a different opinion on the matter. I like Be Cool. That's a paid repricer. I've used Be Cool for a long time. It's not broken, so I'm not going to fix it.
Right.
But again, we're talking to a beginner seller here that's trying to bootstrap some cost, right? So Amazon's repricer, and to bring it back to full circle, what we were talking about earlier with the turn rate and having a fast turn rate, this is going to be kind of the ticket to a faster turn rate. Amazon or any repricer in general, is just going to be, they're going to be changing your prices, keeping you competitive for the buy box. It's called buy box contention. You want to be in contention for that buy box so you can get rotated in and out of it, typically within 2% of that buy box price. So, if it's at $19.99, you can go, in theory, 2% higher than that. In theory, you'll get the buy box.
Right.
But again, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Number of sellers, sales velocity. There's a whole lot. Buy box suppression. That's not fun.
Right. And I feel like maybe bookkeeping was a little out of place, because this repricer in the buy box range or the buy box contention, we're going to talk about more about competition and how not everybody who's selling on a listing is your competitor. It's just the buy box range. So we'll just put a pin in that for a little further down.
We'll bring it back up in a minute.
Bookkeeping.
So this is really straightforward. Keep track of your money. Don't just start spending, and then go, how much was this thing? And I think it was $10, but it might have been 15. I think I have this subscription, but I'm not sure how much it is. Like, keep track of your books, because that will be the telltale sign of, are you making money or not? You don't want to guess on, are you making money or not? Are your expenses outweighing the profit you're bringing in? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think the simplest way is make sure you have a bank account that's separate from your personal, so you
Yep.
can keep track of the business money. And then Inventory Lab does allow you to add expenses into your profit and loss statement. So you can put in those subscriptions, you can put in the money that you're spending, and you also need to be putting in your cost of goods. Inventory Lab is a way for you to keep track of that.
Yeah. Keeping track of your COGS is vital. I've had a coaching client that did not. She was selling on Amazon for like 4 years. I was like, so how much do you have in inventory? And she was like, I don't know. I spend $400 a week and that's all I do. And I was like, wow, that's got to be so stressful because you have no clue what's going on. In Inventory Lab, they have this awesome tool called Inventory Valuation, where you can see how much you have in an Amazon and how much you have inbound going to Amazon. And there's a little lag time because it's got to keep up with Seller Central, but for the most part, it's fairly accurate. And then again, keeping track of all the other stuff. You know, when I first started, I was dumpster diving boxes. I would not go pay for boxes, you know, so hey, I had $300. I had to, you know,
Right?
$1.50 a box was kind of expensive. And so, you know, if poly bags, tape gun, all of it, just keep track. We can't emphasize that enough because that really will. And this is actually what kind of started me on the journey of full time, because I started doing it. My mother-in-law's a bookkeeper. And so I was blessed in that she was like, I'm going to make sure you're not going to bankrupt my daughter, and I'm going to keep track of your books. And so she was keeping track of my books, and she goes, oh my gosh, Paul, you're actually making money. And so it's helpful to see that win of like, okay, we spent X and we made X after it all washed out, and go buy yourself a coffee.
And you can't figure out where the problems are if you're not keeping track.
That's right. That's
So
right. Yeah. And some other deep things that you can dig in with Inventory Lab is like supplier profitability, ASIN profitability. You can really drill in and say, where's the most bang for my buck? When I go to Marshall's or TJ Maxx or Target or wherever, you know, hey man, this one store is 80% of my sales. So we just dove way into Inventory Lab, so we can probably skip over that. Shipping. This is probably, I would say, the least fun part about Amazon. What do you think?
Yeah, because I mean, there's two kinds of people from what I'm noticing: the people that like to shop and spend the money, and then the people that are the detailed oriented and the preppers and the shippers. You know, that just like to know, you know, no decisions are being made. I'm just prepping and shipping and.
Right. And you kind of get that that high. I forget what the chemical in the brain is, but like when you
kind of endorphin.
Yeah, when you go out and you're like, I just spent $500 and I'm gonna make 500 and this is awesome. And then you get it home and you're like, crap.
Stickers.
Now I stickers. That's right. Poly bags. You know, and so you want to make sure that, and Toni, I feel like you've got some pretty good videos in a paid group about like your setup of how things are going. And so, you know,
made some videos on how we prep and the tools that Sean uses, and I feel like we could really do some more. I would love to, as soon as our prep room is cleaned up from Q4,
yeah,
I'd love to just do a tour and show you guys how we do. But
yeah, and it's really what it comes down to is, you know, having your supplies there so that when you do get the inventory home, you're not scrambling around. That's kind of like what I did. I was just like, I'll try to find some boxes. I'll go get some tape. But yeah, out the door in 24. That came from Perry.
I want to say that's a phrase from Perry Coughlin.
Yeah. So Perry and Kim, you can go check out their Facebook group. Awesome, awesome people. And they actually we don't have a link for it, but they have a amazing, I went and did it myself, prep course. It's a little bit of a higher ticket item, but it's phenomenal investment. If you're really serious about Amazon, I highly, highly suggest it. But this out the door in 24 hours is a great rule, because that is going to keep your turn rate up, or down rather.
Yeah, this is one of those things that really made a huge difference for our business. So the title searching, Keepa graphs, the repricer, and increasing our ROI, and then the out the door in 24. If I could tell a person 5 things, focus on these. It may appear to a new seller, someone told me this one time, it's like Amazon has the switch. They just flip it on one day and we get a bunch of sales, and then they flip it off and then we've got no sales. And it's just like this on and off switch that Amazon has on our account. And I asked them, okay, how often are you shipping? Well, once a week, maybe once a week. And that's the issue. So you can be sourcing great products that are going to sell, there's demand for them and profit. But if you're only, if you're shopping, 3 days a week and then you're taking 2 days to prep, really it would be better to shop one day and ship the next. You don't want to send 5 things to Amazon, of course not. But if you have enough for a shipment, go ahead and get it out. It's going to make a big difference in your inventory getting checked in and selling on a regular basis. Your stuff cannot make money if it's just sitting at your house.
That is the truth. It's very true. Do you have over prepping on the next one?
Yes.
Yep. Awesome. So over prepping, this is where that detail oriented person is way overdoing it, way too detailed. The shirt does not need to be pressed and ironed and then put in a bag and folded, because Amazon's just going to absolutely destroy the bag and shake it all up. So get it, I call it good enough.
Yes.
Meet Amazon's parameters. You can just look, if you type into the search bar in Seller Central, prepping parameters or prep guidance,
guidelines,
prep guidelines, you'll be able to find the requirements. So like glass has to be bubble wrapped, perforated boxes need a poly bag, that kind of stuff.
Really, 6 foot drop, or not 6 foot, 3 foot drop test is your big key.
Yeah, it is. It is a big key. So you want to make sure, like if you're going to be selling coffee mugs and that kind of stuff, make sure that you're prepping it properly.
Don't let this be your big bottleneck where you're just way too OCD about stickers being straight and all of this kind of thing. Just get it good enough to where you meet the customer's expectation, right?
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so I just mentioned that?
Yeah, you did. They're wonderful people.
They are. And I posted a link to the Facebook group in our Facebook group. We have a question from Kevin really quick, or not a question, more a comment. He said, if I'm on limited time, I like to do what I call lazy sourcing, take pictures of the entire aisles in stores of my phone, then I research them when I get home. And that is a really good little tip there, Kevin, because that will definitely, if you are limited on your retail arbitrage, how long you can be in the store, because you can just take those pictures out, right? Whenever you're laying in bed and just slowly search the stuff on Amazon.
Yes, and that is a great task to give a virtual assistant.
Absolutely.
For $2.50 an hour.
Right.
While you sleep.
There you go. And then you wake up and you have all the products that were found. So very good.
So circling back to the competition,
yep.
And we were talking about the buy box range and who actually is your competitor. I feel like when you're getting a handle on Keepa, it could very easily, you see a listing and there's 20 sellers and you think, okay, all these sellers are my competition. But really they're not, because of the way the buy box range works. You have to be, I've heard it 1% to 3%. So if you just calculate everybody that's within 3%, count them all up, that's your number of competitors generally.
Yeah. And really competition, I mean, that is, it's definitely a real thing, but I would definitely say, like in our group and in many other groups like Perry and Kim's, Stephen Smotherman's, we're all learning from one another. Yes, we're all technically doing the same thing, but we really are, figuring this thing out together. So be mindful of that. Like we mentioned penny dropping earlier. Toni was kind of like, don't promote penny dropping. And I'm not, I definitely don't want to do that, because one of the biggest pains of arbitrage is that race to the bottom. And we can pull up a Keepa chart of a hot toy and show you exactly what we're talking about, where the number of sellers goes up and then that price just goes way down. And it's just a simultaneous thing that happens. So yeah, be mindful of that.
Mhm.
So
How do we figure out, okay, so you're talking about buy-box range,
oh,
2%, 1 to 3%.
really quick, I just had a thought. Go
Yeah.
back to the too much competition, because this
Yeah.
is a really common question that we get about our Facebook groups, or the leads groups. So we're actually going to be adding more groups in the future. But we capped our group at 100, and our group actually filled up really, really quickly this Q4. And so we're trying to be able to, we're figuring out a way to serve a bunch of other people. But think of 100 people in one leads group. The typical question that you get is, man, isn't everything just going to get like completely oversaturated? And experientially, we've been doing this for over a year. The answer is no. Now, with that being said, there are some items. Toni, you still with me, or are you frozen? I think I lost Toni. Let's see what's going on. Can y'all give me a hand up if y'all can hear me? Make sure. I'm going to pause the recording. I don't know.
Okay. I'm glad you're back.
I'm praying that we didn't lose the recording. We'll find out.
Should still say, it says recording, I think. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
So, talking about leads groups, too much competition.
Yeah. So I don't know what the last thing that was heard, but yeah. So typically people think that when you have too many people in a group that it will get oversaturated. Online arbitrage lists, you have to be really mindful of that, because everybody can just go to the .com and buy the thing. Retail arbitrage is a lot different, because people have to physically go to the store to buy the thing, and every store is going to have a different thing, and everybody's also going to have different parameters that they're staying within. So there's a lot of variables going on, where when we talk about supplying 200 to 300 leads a month across the board to 100 sellers, again, it's a lead. It's leading you to a certain store at a certain department to where you're going to be looking for that thing, but also a bunch of other things. You will not succeed if you only look for the thing. That is really, really frustrating when a lot of people think, oh, I'm only going to go buy the lead. No, the whole point of this is to educate and teach you. We're giving you fish, but what our end goal is to teach you how to fish, to where you can be doing this. You're on autopilot. I was actually meeting with somebody, spoke to a customer a couple weeks ago that's been with us since the inception of the group. So she's been subscribed and with us, and she was like, I've learned the stores so well that y'all posted about. I almost don't even look at the leads anymore, but I stay in for the education and the conversation, and I'm always learning something new and different. She was like, but y'all really set me up good. And it was just so encouraging to hear that, because it's like, man, that is just like, that's our goal,
That's the point.
is to get y'all to where you can really stick with stuff. So
Exactly.
all that to say, don't stress about the competition.
Right. And so there's a formula that's very helpful for figuring out, well, how many of these things can I buy based on this sales velocity and this number of sellers. So the sales per month, that's the velocity that's coming from the Seller Essentials sales velocity chart. It's not perfect. It's not made by Amazon, so it's our best guess on third-party data. So you put in your number of sales per month and divide that by how many sellers are in the buy box plus you, and that gives you how many you should buy and send in for a month.
And something that I would also add is, when you're trying to figure out that sales per month, don't look at the current sales rank. Look at the average 90 or the average 180 day sales rank, and you're going to get that from Keepa. Keepa is really the only place that you're going to have that data. So you want to look at the average, not just in a sales rank. All the sales rank is telling you is the last time the item sold. That's all it's saying. So it could be sales ranked at 1 million, and then 3 of them sold, and it drops down to 150,000 right away. So that doesn't mean that it's going to sell all the time at that 150,000. That could just be a fluke. So you want to pay attention to this stuff, and look at averages, and again, read the Keepa chart. So yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, living in Keepa.
Go ahead.
That's how you grow.
So the business setup, that is Again, it's not really like the most sexy, fun thing to talk about, but you got to do it, right? You more than likely are going to eventually, I would say more sooner than later, set your business up officially, instead of just spending, like Tony said earlier, mentioned about like getting a different bank account and all that kind of stuff. Like if you want a business bank account, you have to have a business.
This can,
Oh, go ahead.
Mhm.
What were you saying?
I think kind of cut out a little bit. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, you're
But
good.
this can be one of those overwhelming things that you'll spend too much time overthinking, researching, struggling with. Is it, how do I get an EIN? Do I need a reseller certificate? No. What's the steps? What's the order? It can be overwhelming. And I just kind of, I came at it from my perspective of how I struggled with it as a new seller. And I just wrote down all of the steps in the order that I thought was the best way to do it. And I put up a post in the free group. If you just search business setup, it'll give you the 12 steps for finding. There's also the link there that I'll put in the group. That's in the free group. The 12
Did I lose you again? You still with me, Tony?
steps for setting up your business, your LLC, your EIN, your internet. Use some of your profits, upgrade your internet.
I do not know what is going on. I all of a sudden came back, so I don't. Oh,
I'm teasing you. You need to upgrade your internet.
Yeah, I heard that part like right at the very end. Evidently, the weekend is here, and my computer said no mas.
Yeah.
You are done. All right, so that is it. We hit the 10. We got another note here, Tony, about the different types of Amazon seller accounts. We want to talk about that really quick.
Yeah, sure. I have no experience with the individual. We just jumped right in with professional and figured if we're going to do this, we're going to do it. So.
Yeah. So when I started, again, it was a little bit different. I kind of had like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and so I was toying around with it. So I did have the individual. If you do have individual, there's talk about you not getting the buy box as much, just because you're not a pro seller account. So I can't vet and say if that's true or not. When I started in 2015, I sold plenty of stuff with an individual account. The main difference is that you're going to pay an extra dollar per sale. So I would say if you are really serious about it, just get that pro seller account. And the way that you pay for it is you sell at least 40 items a month, and that pays for the account. Because if you had the individual, you'd be paying that.
So I just want to, I'm sorry.
Nope, you're good. Go ahead.
I want to close with encouraging you to just source. So as a new seller, if you're brand new and you just downloaded the seller app, you're going to go into the store and be like shy or nervous or wondering, is the manager going to come over and talk to me, ask me what I'm doing? It can be, it's the mindset thing to overcome. You're just doing your job. You're not doing anything illegal. It's perfectly fine. Just put in some headphones and just get busy working. Don't be scared. Actually, the more people that know what you're doing, the more connections and relationships you'll be able to form with managers and people that can help you. Yep. So just get over that, get into the store. Don't be shy. Don't be scared. Stand in the aisle for 4 hours if you have to. It's fine.
That's right. That's really what it comes down to is, and I think what separates the people that are successful and selling on Amazon and those that aren't is really just comes down to taking action. Whatever limiting factors you have facing you, if time is your limiting factor, figure out the best way to get over that hurdle. Like Kevin mentioned, taking photos of items, and instead of scanning the items, he just, he's doing that when he gets home, or whatever. So think outside the box. Again, we also have the leads group. There's certain tools that'll save you time and all that. Money problems can always be solved. Money is just a tool. So again, I had $300. And I know that if I did it, anyone can do it. And so we're here to help and serve you all here in FBA Insiders. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us on Friday afternoon.
If you're watching the replay and you have questions, post them to the replay or post them to the group, and we'll be more than happy to help you. If we missed something or if you have questions, just let us know.
Yep, and I'll throw our email there as well. Whenever I'll put it on. This is if you're watching the replay, it might be on YouTube. So our email will probably be down below, and you can reach out to us that way as well. So Judith, thanks for hanging out, and everybody else, sorry for the Facebook issues. And I hope all of you have a wonderful Christmas. Merry Christmas, Toni.
You too. Thank you. I hope you had a great Q4.
Yes.
Can't wait to see what Q1 brings.
I know. 2020 will be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, y'all have a great afternoon.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.